What is up, YouTube? NYKF31 here. Little Madden Online using my Jets in a ranked game and taking on the Ravens. A little bit of a preview of Jets-Ravens this week. Tough game. See how it plays out. I'm sitting here watching the end of the Alabama-Florida game right now. Gosh, Alabama is good. Just so well coached. But anyway, figure we'll talk some NFL. Since I'm fooling around here playing Madden, let's talk some NFL. Some Week 4, what's going on in the league. And let me start out with my Jets. Jets have a pretty crucial stretch of games coming up, beginning this week in Baltimore and then the following week with New England. And the Jets sitting here at 2-1 got themselves thumped by the Raiders. The Raiders last week. And here's the thing with my Jets. I think the Jets are a bit overrated. Well, more than a bit, maybe. And it's for a variety of reasons. Rex and all the talking that he does contributes to it. The players and the yapping that they do, and plus being in New York. When you're in New York, you're going to be overrated. That's just the way it is. It's kind of like when you play for Notre Dame or you play for the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to be overrated somewhat. It just goes with the territory. But the Jets have some problems. The Jets have some areas of concern that are legitimate.
So it is 3rd and 8.
One
Ball on the 36.
is that we're slow. Linebackers are slow. Bad in space, bad going sideline to sideline. You saw it there, McFadden just rip them to shreds. You know, guys like Bart Scott and David Harris, Calvin Pace, they're okay when they're moving forward. You know, David Harris especially, he's better than okay when he's moving forward. He's actually very good. But when they have to pursue people, when they have to drop back into zones and, you know, cover the seams, they have some problems. Any team with a good tight end, a good athletic tight end, is going to get the Jets problems because they can't match up with them either at the linebacker or safety spots. You know, you have Revis, who's as, you know, good as it gets. And on the other side, you have Cromartie, who... Here's the thing about Cromartie. Cromartie is one of those guys who never plays up to his physical ability. He's like a worse version of D'Angelo Hall. You know, Cromartie is as good an athlete as there is in the NFL. But he's stupid, he's lazy, he makes a lot of boneheaded mistakes. But on the flip side, when he's locked in and when he's on his game, you know, he's a freak of nature. So that's another problem. Pass rush, another problem. They can't generate a pass rush with a four-man rush, four-man base rush. And if you notice, their blitzes don't work anymore. The league has figured out how to handle their blitz packages. So what you have are your two outside linebackers with a combined total of maybe 1 or 2 sacks between them, and having to be desperate enough for a pass rusher that you go and re-sign a guy, Anthony Maben, who you cut in the preseason. And on offense, they can't block anybody from the right side. Their right tackle and their left guard suck. And, you know, Sanchez, to me, is still, at best, an average quarterback who does some things well, but does just as many things, you know, average at best. So I think the Jets have a lot of problems and have a lot to fight through. And we're going to see what they're made out of the next couple of weeks, because Baltimore and the Pats are not going to be a walk in the park.
They call on the field goal unit.
The game that I'm most interested in this week is the Lions and the Cowboys. Detroit. Detroit at 3-0, and I think they're for real still. I really do. I think as long as they keep Stafford in one piece, Detroit's going to be in this. And, you know, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're always going to have a national spotlight on them. They always have talent. And this will be a good test for Detroit to see if they're ready for the limelight.
Let that one get away.
And I guess you have to take Buffalo seriously as well. You know, anytime that you're 3-0 with a chance to go 4, you got to take them seriously. And so far, you got the Packers, the Lions, and the Bills all at 3-0. I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, you would have thought that the Packers obviously would sprint out to a good start, but you know, the Bills or the Lions, no one really thought of that. Then you have a whole slew of teams. The Saints, the Patriots, Ravens, Texans, Jets, Steelers, Chargers, Raiders, Redskins, Titans at 2-1, Niners at 2-1, Browns at 2-1. And I think out of those teams, the team that I would have to say is the best out of that 2-1 lot so far, I still have to give respect to the Steelers. I just really respect the way the Steelers play football. And whenever I have any kind of doubt and it's close between a team that the Steelers match up with or trying to separate a bunch of teams that are similar, I always lean towards the Steelers just because I respect how they're coached, how they play, I respect how their quarterback plays, and just what the Steelers are about and what they represent. So I'm going to go with the Steelers so far as the best of the 2-1 bunch. And then we have some surprises at 1-2 on the other end of the surprise spectrum. We have the Falcons, Bears, and Eagles at 1-2. And out of those 3 teams, I would say the team in the most trouble is probably the Falcons, because all of a sudden they can't run the ball. You know, they're 1-2, they're coming off a tough loss to Tampa, and they only ran the ball for 30 yards. And Tampa doesn't have the fiercest front, 7 on earth. I mean, they're good, but they're not, lights out. They should be able to do a better job than that, considering you have a guy like Michael Turner and a passing game that has to be respected. The Bears, I feel, are going to be alright. The Eagles, it just depends on Vic. It depends on Vic's health. To me, it looked like he was playing somewhat, in a fog. He looked like he was still concussed, actually. He was playing kind of in a daze last week, and the Giants punched him around pretty good. So their fortunes pretty much, come down to whether Michael Vick is on the field and doing the things that Vic can do, and the things that Vic bring to the table. So, that's a thing to watch for, this week among the other storylines in the NFL. That's a great thing about the NFL. The league changes so much from week to week. You can be on top of the league one week, and then the next week, you can have everything just thrown up in the air and have questions about your team exposed. And last but not least, the 0-3 bunch, the winless bunch. Well, I should say last and least. You have the Chiefs, Rams, Colts, Dolphins, and Vikings. I think the Dolphins are done. The Chiefs are certainly done. Too many injuries. The Colts are done. The Rams will bounce back once they start playing division games. And I'm not ready to write off the Vikings just yet. The Vikings are still a team that have talent. You have the Williams Wall still there. You have Jared Allen. You have McNabb, who's not, completely washed up yet. You have AP, Harvin. You got weapons on that team. You have players on that team. They should be better than this. So I'm not ready to write them off just yet. But the other teams, I think you can pretty much, put on ice for the time being. So,
They'll throw for the first.
So as far as games I'm looking forward to this week, I'm certainly looking forward to my Jets and the Ravens. It's going to be a big game for the Jets. The Jets have to show that they can run the ball, that they can, stop a team with a good running game, and that has a good quarterback. The Jets are very good at bullying bad quarterbacks, but teams that have quarterbacks that can, show some poise and make some throws, and especially if the team has a good tight end, those type of teams give the Jets some problems. Detroit and Dallas is certainly one to keep an eye on. Those are the top two that come to mind, and I'm sure there's others. I'm just taking a little look at the schedule right now for this week. The Bills have a chance to go 4-0 playing the Bengals. The Browns and Titans, one of those two teams is going to be 3-1. Niners and the Eagles. Are the Niners 2-1 for real, or will Philly bounce back? I gotta say that I think the Phillies will bounce back. I think the Saints will go to 3-1, beat the Jaguars up.
Still looking for an open man.
Giants and Cardinals. The Giants should go to 3-1. Steelers, Texans, another good one. Both 2-1 teams. Texans at home. And I never bet against the Steelers. When in doubt, I always go with the Steelers. Packers should go to 4-0 versus the Broncos, and the Falcons should right the ship somewhat against the Seahawks. Pats, Raiders. Gotta go with the Pats in that one. And the Bucks at 2-1 taking on the 0-3 Colts. The Colts are in the Andrew Luck sweepstakes. I don't believe we'll see Peyton Manning this year, so I think the Bucks are going to go to 3-1 in that one. So that's a little quick scan of the NFL right now. So hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on the league, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Goes through his progression. He tipped the ball away. And the pass will fall incomplete. Fourth down. Looking for a man. The pass is tipped.
Big fourth down play by the defense that time, and now the pressure takes
a knee.